Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. Minister of Works oversees rehabilitation road work being done in San Fernando. Scores participate in the annual family walk held by the informative breastfeeding service. And a continuation of our budget preview segment today, focusing on health. Thank you so much for joining us in our top story. Motorists in San Fernando are being advised of a temporary disruption in traffic along Independence Avenue. This is to facilitate rehabilitation work being done on the road. Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Dr. the Honorable Sudratan Rambajan, was on site to oversee the work being done and ensure what he says is a rising standard of quality being applied to roadworks throughout the nation.
Minister Rambajan says the work being undertaken is in an effort to address the deteriorating condition of Independence Avenue and Chancery Lane. He reveals the work is expected to cost an estimated $7.9 million and should be completed in 2 weeks. Dr. Rambajan says he is intent on getting value for money, which is why he is taking such a personal interest in all the roadworks being done throughout the country.
This is one of 30 such jobs that we are doing in the country right now under the PURE program. And the director, Mr. Hayden Phillips, is taking a personal interest in the supervision of these jobs. As I said when I became Minister of Works and Infrastructure, it is my intention to ensure the highest quality standards. And already some contractors who are not adhering to our quality standards have had to redo work. So now contractors are being even more careful.
The Works and Infrastructure Minister commends a group of citizens who have started a new initiative, which he believes is prudent and necessary.
Across the country, we have now appointed what you might call voluntary civil engineers. They may be living in districts and they have volunteered to keep an eye on the quality of work that is being done. And I find this very commendable because it shows that citizens are taking a greater and greater effort to ensure that we get value for money and that they are part of ensuring that when money is spent, that it not only gives you value, but the product is going to last you a long time. And I commend the citizenry for getting involved with the Ministry of Works.
The works will create a minor disruption in traffic along Independence Avenue between Ruth Avenue and Harris Promenade and along Chancery Lane between Harris Promenade and High Street from Tuesday 20th August 2013 to Tuesday September 3rd 2013 between the hours of 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. To ensure safety, motorists are asked to observe a few traffic suggestions. 1. Observe all directional signs. 2. Comply with instructions from police officers. 3. Be aware of heavy equipment entering and exiting the site. 4. Drive with caution. And 5. Reduce speed when approaching the work zone. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Scores of nursing mothers and their babies participate in the annual family walk held by the Informative Breastfeeding Service, TIBS, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. Also leading the walk was Minister of Health, Dr. Fuad Khan.
Let's get walking and promote breastfeeding.
Minister of Health, Dr. Fuad Khan, a supporter of the program, noted that breastfeeding is more affordable, beneficial to both baby and the parents, and lately has even become fashionable.
Breast milk is like pipe water. It's very good for you, but people making you pay for the other one, you know what I mean? So we have to work on that to have our baby-friendly hospitals as we've been promoting.
The walk began at 7:30 a.m. from the TIBS compound at 8 Rust Street, St. Clair, Port of Spain. Participants were clad in their signal T-shirts showing support for the initiative. Ms. Ruth Duba-Paul, a councillor with TIBS, gave a vote of thanks and also paid tribute to the Ministry of Health for partnering and supporting the event.
We are very, very grateful for their help, especially his person in charge of dietary, is it? Ms. Taryn Phillip. Thank you so very much for coming and for helping. We appreciate it. We're really, really grateful. I really want to thank Mrs. Hassan Ali. Mrs. Hassan Ali, thank you for being our patron. Thank you for your continued support. I came and met you here very early this morning, very interested to know that everything was set for the walk and welcoming everyone. Thank you for your continued support, Mrs. Hassan Ali.
There was also entertainment on breastfeeding from some of the talented TIBS counselors.
I am the Pero Granada, the breastfeeding supporter, the greatest promoter, protector, and conqueror. And if any of you here discourage breastfeeding, it's me you will be seeing. It's me you will be seeing. So I am spreading the word, north, south, east, and the west, that breast milk for your baby is really the best. Put it to the test. Give your child the breast. It pass over contest.
The theme this year was to highlight breastfeeding peer counseling. The objectives were to draw attention to the importance of peer support in helping mothers to establish and sustain breastfeeding, to encourage breastfeeding supporters, regardless of their educational background, to step forward and be trained to support mothers and babies, and to identify local community support contacts for breastfeeding mothers where they can go to for help and support after the birth of their babies. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Up next, a plea to the THA to improve the streets of Tobago by the Ministry of Tobago Development. As the anticipation builds for the presentation of the 2013-2014 fiscal package by the Honorable Larry Hawaii, Minister of Finance and the Economy, we will analyze and review the promises and commitments made by the government in the 2012-2013 fiscal package. We continue with a look at the health sector and the improvements made over the last year.
Expanding health services. Mr. Speaker, we are addressing the well-being of the citizens of this country through the expansion in healthcare delivery, as well as improving healthy lifestyles among our citizens. In fiscal 2013, we shall embark on a number of projects. New hospitals in Point Fortin, Arima, Sangre Grande, and Chaguanas. The National Public Health Laboratory and the Caribbean Public Health Agency at Coro, and the upgrade of the San Fernando General Hospital. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Health will fund these projects through public-private partnerships and joint ventures. The Ministry of Health is also at an advanced stage of pursuing such arrangements for oncology, cardiac surgery, and organ transplants. Moreover, negotiations are at an advanced stage for establishing financing agreements for a hospital in Couva, which will cater for children and adults, and which would have a burns unit, a teaching hospital at Chancery Lane, San Fernando, and a National Center for Non-Communicable Diseases in Pinal.
In fiscal 2013, the health sector received an estimated $5.5 billion, or 9.4% of the then $58.4 billion national budget. This was an increase of $1.2 billion over fiscal 2012, which added greater substance to the cause of Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, in ensuring the health and well-being of the nation's children, the fight against non-communicable diseases, and the need for a stronger health sector with the staff and infrastructure to complement it. Since the Minister's budget presentation, several projects have been completed, with others having been lifted off the ground. The first significant development was the commissioning of the San Fernando Teaching Hospital at Chancery Lane on Friday, December 28, 2012. Since then, work has been fast-paced at the site and is expected to be fully completed by December, with work continuing on the bridge link which connects the facility to the San Fernando General Hospital, the bed lift tower, and the inpatient ward area. This will allow for physical upgrade works on the San Fernando General Hospital, since the first phase of the project was for the expansion of services, which is being facilitated by the new facility. Another key project which received attention in 2013 was the Point Fortin Hospital, the financing options and user brief for which Cabinet recently gave approval. Previously, there were issues pertaining to the construction of the hospital, which was to take place on the existing hospital site. However, The latest developments reveal that lands have been identified for the new hospital. Meanwhile, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, or CARPHA, was officially launched in Trinidad on July 2, 2013. The agency rationalizes public health arrangements in the region by combining the functions of 5 Caribbean regional health institutions into one single agency. 2 sites have been identified for the construction of the agency's headquarters, one at Cora and the other at Valsayn. The studies of both are now before the Ministry of Health. Also expected to share the potential site is the National Public Health Laboratory, the designs of which have been completed and are also before the ministry. The Cancer Society of Trinidad and Tobago and cancer patients received a glimpse of hope when Cabinet's Finance and General Purposes Committee recently approved funding for the National Oncology Center in Mount Hope. Minister of Health, Dr. the Honorable Fuad Khan, said the construction of the NOC will cost some $443 million, but the costs for equipment and consultancy had brought the entire project to some $891 million. The long overdue NOC is expected to be completed in 18 months' time. Meanwhile, the Cuba Children's Hospital has been lifted off the ground. Earlier this year, the government accessed funding from China through a government-to-government arrangement to the tune of US $150 million. The hospital is expected to be completed by March 2015. With regards to a national center for non-communicable diseases in Penal, designs are currently in progress and are expected to be completed in the first quarter of 2014. With Budget Day fast approaching, citizens can look forward to many other projects being completed in fiscal 2014 and a more efficient health sector. For a look at the various initiatives under the ministry, visit the ministry's website at www.health.gov.tt. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
It's a problem that most, if not all, drivers encounter daily while driving throughout the streets of Tobago. Potholes, a driver's worst nightmare, and they are everywhere.
From the village of Canby straight up to Mount St. George, the nightmare just seemed to worsen, with cars swerving to dodge the very deep holes, obstructing other drivers in the process, especially on the smaller roads. Just imagine traveling on roads with holes like this one at nights. Worst yet, when the rain falls and they are all covered with water. This may definitely have a driver frequenting his mechanic to repair damaged shocks or perhaps buy new tires, all because the roads regularly traveled are in a deplorable state. The question is, how soon would these roads be repaired? Minister of Infrastructure Chandra Sharma says road repairs in Tobago are the responsibility of the THA, who receives majority of funding to conduct their roadworks, inclusive of paving, while Minister of Tobago Development Dr. Delmon Baker says though he isn't an expert in the field, there are some concerns about the poor quality of asphalt, not just in Tobago, but throughout the country, which he said could be one of the reasons why the roads seem to deteriorate at a rapid pace.
The quality of the paving when matched to some areas in Trinidad is relatively good. So I am not going to fault to any large degree the contractors.
However, the minister is concerned as to whether or not the THA has the will to conduct extensive road paving in a timely manner to alleviate some of the problems experienced by motorists while driving, as he says the infrastructure division is adequately funded by the central government.
The Assembly has the money. It has a huge contingency fund that it maintains with the For Citizens Bank, that we see spending occurring only around the periods of election.
He ruled out lack of funding and lack of effective contractors for the road conditions in Tobago.
It's a question as, is there the will by the Infrastructure Division to send its monitors out, to see where the problems are and to treat with them quickly.
Reporting from Tobago, Patricia Nicholson, News 4.
The Rotary Club has given back to the community yet again, this time to students in need as they prepare for the new school term.
The Rotaract Club of Tobago recently held its handing over ceremony for a back-to-school project. With the project, they were able to assist deserving students with school supplies and food hampers. This was all possible through fundraising events hosted by the club. Community Service Director at the Rotaract Club, Kadia Alfred, said they would have hosted several events.
Okay, firstly, we had a car wash that was held on the 1st of August at the Store Bay Beach facilities, and we also had donation sheets, and the other one was a registry at bookstores. We had endeavors with other school supplies like vests, school bags, that kind of stuff. We had Nelson's bookstore and Phillips store as well.
But just how were the students chosen?
We sent out letters to different churches, and we also got names from the Division of Health and Social Services.
President of the Rotaract Club, Stefan Sandy, said the education support is needed, but the nourishing of a child is also very important.
What we would have done is not only give stationary items to children in need in the community, but also food items. As we see the nurturing of the mind of a child through education, yes, as important, but also to facilitate learning, you need to feed the child.
With the theme of this year's distribution being Exceeding Potentials, the president advised other members of the club to go beyond mediocrity so that more items can be sourced and given to the students.
It is indeed a pleasure for us as the Rotaract Club of Tobago to serve the community and help others in the community.
Hyacinth Ned, one of the parents whose children were recipients of the goods distributed, said she felt blessed upon receiving the items.
It is the first time I'm getting this kind of assistance in my whole life. When coming to my children, I've always been asking, as the first time I've been getting this type of help.
21 students benefited from this year's program. Reporting from Tobago, Patricia Nicholson, News 4.
Up next, the Super League rundown for match day 9. Welcome back. With Guaya United on a bye, Club Sando had the opportunity to take sole control of first place on match day 9 of the Blink B-Mobile National Super League. And they took that opportunity in style. Wayne Cunningham has all the scores from Sunday's matches.
Tobago's 1976 FC Phoenix dropped a rare home point when they were held to a 0-0 draw by Joe Public FC on match day 9 of the National Super League, which was contested on Sunday. The draw kept both teams in mid-table on 12 points, with the Eastern Lions ahead in 5th on goal difference. Another team from the Sister Isle had better fortunes though. Stokely Vale FC visited Saparia to take on the Spurs and came away with a hard-fought 2-1 win. All the goals were scored in the first half, with Onasi Ford starting things off for Stokely Vale in the 9th minute. It was 2-0 8 minutes later, courtesy Dominic McDougall. Shaquille Henry pulled one back for Saparia 5 minutes before the break, but that was all the scoring at the Palaseco Velodrome. With the win, Stokely Vale are in 7th and Spurs stay in 10th. The woes of defending champs West FC continue as they went down 2-0 to the defence force. Javon Neptune in the 23rd and Stefan Antoine in the 55th were the scorers for the military, but the win did not help them away from the relegation zone. They remain second from bottom, while the Watermen are in 9th spot. Another struggling Eastern team is FC Santa Rosa. They fell to their 7th loss of the campaign when they visited Westside Superstars in West Moorings. Second half goals from Queens Grosvenor, Kevon Piper and Jamali Garcia gave Westside a 3-0 win to keep them in 4th place. Santa Rosa stayed rooted to the foot of the table. Their neighbours, Malabar FC, are faring much better in their debut season. They turned back fellow Easterners Real Maracas 3-0 with a double from Gorian Hiley and one from Stevan Stout. Malabar are on 18 points in 3rd, 4 points adrift from Guaya United, who were on a bye. The men from the Valley sit in 8th spot. Club Sando took full advantage of Guaya's rest day and grabbed sole possession of top spot on the standings following a 3-0 win over Tobago's Bethel United. A Tiba McKnight brace and one from Devon Modest did the trick for Club Sando, who are now on 25 points. Bethel sits in the bottom 3. Coming up on match day 10, the 3rd versus 4th clash between Malabar and Westside at St. Anthony's Ground in West Moorings will definitely be the match to see this coming Sunday. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we come back, more news. Stay with us. Welcome back. Caribbean diplomats recently engaged in a 4-week-long training seminar put on by the Institute of International Relations at the University of the West Indies, UWI, and the Asia Pacific College of Diplomacy at the Australian National University. The program saw 13 diplomats receive invaluable training and knowledge.
4 years ago, the Institute of International Relations at UWI entered into an agreement with Australia and was awarded funding by the Australian Agency for International Development, or AUSAID, to conduct a Caribbean diplomatic training program. 4 years later, the 4th diplomatic training program for Caribbean diplomats has just reached its conclusion at the Hilton Trinidad Hotel. Participants spent 2 weeks attending seminars at the Australian National University, followed by 2 weeks of training in Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the training seminar, Director of the Institute of International Relations, Professor Dr. Andy Knight, expresses his satisfaction that the seminar dovetails with the university's research agenda and addresses issues which can have a serious impact on the Caribbean community.
We have been able to be exposed to research and reflective thinking of some of the leading figures in the region in their own area of interest and expertise, in the area of security and climate change, on environmental issues, the plight of small island developing states, international development issues, the EPA, Caribbean trade negotiations, shifts in hegemony, and the future of CARICOM. These are all themes that we in the Institute of International Relations have tried to incorporate into our research agenda, and I believe that these are the kinds of themes that will affect the Caribbean states for many years to come.
Dr. Knight, an international relations expert, says the seminar taught some crucial skills necessary to regional diplomats if they are to operate in a global environment.
Equipping of foreign service officers with the kind of knowledge and the skill sets that are needed for them to basically punch above their weight at the international level and at the regional level. And I think from what I've heard in terms of your wrap-up comments today, I think that you feel that you have actually absorbed that knowledge and that you're willing now to implement that knowledge in order to be able to, and also the skills that you gleaned along the way in order to punch above your weight.
Dr. Knight explains the seminar will undoubtedly effect change in the future of the regional diplomatic service.
I had a chance to witness for myself the interactions among you and the knowledge that was transferred as a result of the various workshops, and it seems to me that this was very beneficial for young diplomats who are going to hit the ground running in terms of delivering on some of the knowledge that you have gained in these workshops.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.